Hello, this is Chastity White Rose, and I'm doing another live stream. And previously, I talked about how I am a vegan vampire and how I drink tomato juice. And so I highly suggest that people understand veganism and why I don't hurt animals and why I eat plants. I really hope that people understand veganism by now, as much as I've talked about it. And if you don't, there are plenty of good documentaries. However, while veganism is becoming a little bit more mainstream, very, very few people these days are understanding celibacy or chastity, as I prefer. There is a reason I named myself Chastity White Rose. And today I want to talk a little bit about why I am the vegan virgin, why I have dedicated my life to celibacy in doing podcasts about celibacy with my co-host Monique. So, first of all, I've been thinking about a lot about this topic because recently I found a plasma donation center near where I live, and I've been donating plasma from my blood, and I even get paid for it, which is really kind of cool. So on top of my job, I can make a little bit of money here and there from donating plasma because my body makes more. And here's what's so great. I learned so much about that I never wanted to know about sexually transmitted diseases. Any of these sexually transmitted diseases, as well as several other infections that have nothing to do with sex, can be transmitted through the blood. So in order to be a blood donor or a plasma donor, you have to be free of disease. You have to be free of viruses. And apparently, these sexually transmitted diseases, HIV and gonorrhea and chlamydia and whatever else there is, these sexually transmitted diseases are pretty nasty stuff. And so many things have gone through my mind as I was donating plasma, and I've been thinking about it, and I have never been more happy to be a virgin than I am right now, because I have a very well put together system of ethics. There's a reason for everything I do. Well, of course, there's always a reason or a cause for why we do what we do, but very few people are aware of their own psychology, aware of the causes of their own behavior. And you see, I'm the vegan virgin, and I'm here to talk about my virgin blood. So my virgin blood is pure from these sexually transmitted diseases. And this allows me to get paid for donating my plasma, which is really, really cool. So for the first time in my life, I actually get rewarded for staying a virgin. So that's really cool. But I have found throughout the years, there are so many different things that have contributed to me staying celibate. And it's far too common for certain people who don't really know me, or even those who do know me but are unable to understand this particular part about me. They may be confused, because you have to understand, for 99% of people, sex is what their life is all about. That seems to be the case because that's all anybody talks about. Every movie has something sexual in it that I can't stand, but I put up with it because I enjoy the rest of the comedy or the message of the movie. You know what I mean? So, there are some who say that I am only celibate and anti-sexual as I am today because I was sexually abused as a child. Now, first of all, yes, I was abused. I'm not going into the details of that. But second of all, that is false, because there are many, many people actually abused. But then they later go on and have sex with lots of different people throughout their adult life later, as they discover their sexual orientation. A lot of people find out they're gay, straight, or bisexual. And some, like me, who are asexual, lacking sexual attraction, have no real reason to have sex with people because they're generally not attracted to anybody or lack the sexual desire. So first, people need to understand asexuality. There's a lot of people who simply are not aware that there are a lot of people that are not sexually attracted or just lack sexual desire completely. And I happen to be one of those people. Now, so it's not true that I'm only a virgin today because I was sexually abused against my consent. And a quick note, being a virgin being sexually abused doesn't make you not be a virgin. At least not the way I look at it. I look at being a virgin as someone who has never consensually had sex. You know what I mean? Because saying that somebody is not a virgin or that they're not celibate because somebody else rapes them is like saying that you're not a vegan if someone force feeds you a hot dog. That's dumb. That's really dumb. But more importantly, this isn't just about being a virgin, because a virgin is someone who's never consensually had sex. That's my definition anyway. This is about anybody, whether you're a virgin or whether you're not a virgin, to understand that there are people committed to celibacy, and there's some very good reasons. I feel like there are many biological, psychological, or even spiritual reasons why somebody would choose to be celibate for life. And I'm one of those people there, and I've called myself Chastity White Rose, the vegan virgin. And people who don't understand this just really wonder what I'm smoking. I'm not smoking anything. In fact, I don't smoke. But this is where it gets interesting, because I even published my book, The Vow of Chastity, and it's on Amazon. I've given the link a few times. Not that anybody reads it, because honestly, how many people go and read about celibacy? They're too busy having sex, right? So they don't care about me and my book about celibacy. But for what it's worth, I'm recording this video because I want to explain that in order to be who I am and stand for what I stand for, I have to be celibate. So let me make this clear. Even if I was straight or gay, or even if later I discovered, like, let's say lightning strikes me in the head someday and I end up being straight or gay or bisexual and want to have sex, well, I'm still not going to do it. And here's why. First of all, anybody who has followed me in the distant past as well as recently knows that I'm vegan. I'm against all harm to animals. That if it can be avoided, avoid it. I'm anti-violence. People know that I'm against abortion. People misunderstand my position against abortion. They think that my position is simply that we should make abortion illegal, which I'm not against making abortion illegal. But I don't think that's doable at this time, because there's too many people who are in support of abortion remaining legal. Second of all, people like having abortions. And the reason they like being able to have abortions is because that means they can have sex with whoever they want. And this applies only to straight sex, obviously. And then if they get pregnant, they can abort their children. So let's understand that the abortion problem in this world is a direct result of sexual attraction and people having heterosexual sex. So no abortions would be happening if biological males and females were not having sex with each other. There'd be no pregnancy, therefore there'd be no abortions. So you have to understand cause and effect here. So I, as a person who is against abortion, and also, since I don't want to be a parent, I used to think I would adopt, but it would suck to be a single parent. So if you don't want to be a parent, if you don't want to raise a child, then it makes sense not to have sex. It totally makes sense. And a lot of people would agree with me on that point. So obviously I can't have sex because there's the possibility of of, if I had sex with a biological female, because I'm biologically male, not psychologically, but biologically I'm male, then there's the risk that I would get her pregnant. And since I'm against abortion, but I also don't want to raise a child because I want to live my own life as a single adult, then I simply don't have sex. So that really is all you need to know. In a sense, that's the most important part of why I'm celibate. Of course, there's always homosexuality as an option, but I think that's gross too, especially when you consider what happened to me when I was anally raped as a 2-year-old. That's a whole other story. I don't really get deep into that, but I don't like people using the fact that I was sexually abused to discount my beliefs. Like, oh well, it's not right for you to have this obsession with celibacy. You only care about celibacy because you were sexually abused and you've been traumatized, and so you never get to enjoy sex like a real man or something. People say these kind of things to me, but you know what? I'm 33 years old. I'm strong. I'm tough. I don't really care what anybody says about me. I have no reputation to protect. And if you don't believe me, just look at my recent videos where I'm dancing in my checkerboard dress. I did the Macarena, and then I also did Girl on Fire by, what was her name? Alicia Keys. Yeah, that was cool. My dress dancing videos are awesome, where I was lip syncing and dress dancing. So if you've seen that, you'll understand that I have no reputation to protect, because I have officially declared that I am a vegan, atheist, transgender person, and I am basically probably the number one person in the world who promotes celibacy as an ethical thing equal to veganism, if not greater. Because the thing to understand is, if you do cause an unwanted pregnancy, even if you don't abort that child will go on to kill others. I know this. This is obvious, because people are not raised as vegans, and even if they were raised as vegans, which hardly anybody is, there's always the chance that they will go on to be a carnist. So basically, you have to understand that it's a catch-22, because if you do have sex, you run the risk of causing pregnancy, and then you run the risk that either the woman will choose to abort that child, so you've just caused a murder, or you let that child live and then they go on to murder other animals, whether they go and kill other humans or whether they go and kill, cows, sheep, pigs, chickens, whatever, So basically, sex is murder. This is just a fact. Sex is murder, or let's say it has a high potential to cause murder, to say the very least. So that's my view, is that just as some people say meat is murder, well, sex is murder. And hardly anybody sees it this way. I do. And because I am the one unique person that has this view as I do, although Monique comes pretty close. I like Monique because she's the one person I can talk to about the struggles of being a celibate and how people don't understand. So why do you think I do a show called Celibate Vegan Voices with Monique Lukens? Why do you think I do that? Well, a lot of people misunderstand. So some people think that that Monique is like a romantic partner or a girlfriend, which I don't know. I'm not, depending on how you define that, yes or no. I'm not making a statement on that. But the thing is, she's a friend that I share common experience with living as a celibate, and people not respecting that. And being vegan is important too, obviously. Being vegan is important, and there are so many documentaries about how animals are harmed in various industries. There's plenty of free videos to watch. There's plenty of documentaries, some that cost money, some that don't. So nobody has an excuse for not knowing why people go vegan. If you have the internet, you just type vegan into any search engine, you'll find millions and millions of results. You'll see people debating veganism versus carnism. So you can find out everything you would ever need to know about veganism. But celibacy is a subject there is not valuable information on. The only information on people committed to celibacy will be like Catholic nuns or priests, or maybe the Jain monks or something like that. It's usually a religious thing. So what you're looking at is, to the best of my knowledge, is that I am the only atheist to vow chastity for ethical reasons. So pretty much I'm very unique in that way. So I'm proud of being a virgin. And even if I wasn't a virgin, I would have still named myself Chastity, because I would have then still later decided that being chaste or being celibate is the ethical thing to do. And just like I am now a vegan, whereas before I was a carnist, simply because I was raised eating meat and dairy and eggs, and I didn't know any better. And a lot of people are having sex and they just don't know better. They don't see what's wrong with it. So here's what it comes down to, is that to be a person who chooses to have sexual intercourse, whether of any type, you have to fully consent. You're basically, by your action, fully consenting to whatever happens. You could get a disease. You could transmit a disease that you have to someone else. You could cause an unwanted pregnancy. Unless you're gay, then this doesn't apply. This is why I love gay people. Anyway, so basically, I just really think that people need to consider the consequences of their actions, realizing sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancy, these are real things that are harms. And of course, abortion is a direct result of the high rate of pregnancies, including people who don't want to be pregnant. So obviously, the only way to be pro-life in the sense of being against abortion is to be celibate. But being pro-life in the sense of not wanting anyone to be hurt or killed without their consent, obviously, there's a whole topic of right to die and suicide and all that. That's a whole other topic right there. But killing someone or hurting someone without their consent is just a bad thing. So that means we also can't cause pregnancy and have children live, because then they will, first of all, they will live some life. They will suffer to greater or lesser degrees, and then they'll die. And they will kill many animals by consumption of meat, dairy, and eggs. There is the possibility that they'll be a vegan their whole life, and that they will never do these things. There's always that possibility, but that's about the same chances of my existence being the vegan virgin, celibate promoting atheist. It's possible, but there's not much likelihood of that happening. So people just have to realize that, like, for example, drunk driving. People know drunk driving is really kind of a bad idea, because car accidents happen when people are drinking and driving, or when they're texting and driving. People know this is a bad idea, but people do it, especially because people are addicted to alcohol or cell phones. And when somebody's drunk, they don't realize they're drunk because they're too unconscious to really know what they're doing. In fact, I heard a story one time of this guy, a guy I knew actually, who got so drunk and then found out he had sex with someone he woke up next to the next morning and didn't remember any of it. So he had sex with someone, didn't even remember it because he was so drunk. And this is why alcohol is a bad idea. But you know what? There is hope. People like me, who used to eat animal products, who used to be non-vegans, can become vegan. People who in the past who have had sex can realize the error of their ways, and then they can live a celibate life. And I know of people who used to be alcoholics who now no longer drink alcohol. They've been sober for many years. So we've all done things that we shouldn't do. In fact, there's even a Christian saying for this, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, which is not technically true because the unborn babies haven't possibly sinned. They haven't done anything yet, so they couldn't sin. So it's not true, obviously. But for the most of us, it's true. We've all done something wrong. So here's what we need. We do not need judgment. We do not need punishment. This is the important thing to understand. We have all of us have done things that we should not have done, things that have hurt ourselves, things that have harmed others. But the point is not to dwell on that. And this is important to understand because people know that I criticize the beliefs of Christianity. And this is very important to understand. See, what Christianity does is it dwells on what they call sin. I don't really believe in the concept of sin as defined by Christianity, but there's still good and bad actions. There's still moral and immoral or ethical and unethical things to do. But they focus on some sin, whether it's homosexuality or sex before marriage or whatever. They focus on some particular sin that they think their Bible says is a sin. And then they say, well, this person had sex outside of marriage, or this person, stole candy from a grocery store when they were 3 years old, and therefore they deserve to burn in hell for all eternity as the punishment for their sin. So they say that you deserve to suffer eternally because of some wrong thing you did in the past. But this is what's so important to understand. I am not about justice. I'm not about punishment. And why does nobody get this? I mean, after all, I did over like 300 episodes of the Free Will, Science, and Religion podcast with my former co-host. Does nobody understand by this point that I don't believe in free will and that nobody is morally responsible for their actions? So this is what's important to understand. Nobody has a free will because they did not choose the fact that they came to exist. That was because their parents having sex. They did not choose what religion or culture they were raised in that led them to be the way they are. They did not choose their genetics that played a huge role in determining their sexual orientation. So nobody can really take credit or blame for anything. So the takeaway message of this video and what I want people to understand is my point is not to tell you, oh, you're bad, you deserve hell, or you deserve to go to jail for whatever you did in the past. No. My message is whatever you have done, whether by my standards or whether by your standards or whether by the standards of a certain religion, whatever thing that you have done in the past that you know is wrong and you regret it, don't just feel guilty. Don't just think, oh, I'm a bad sinner, I deserve to be punished. No, that's not the way to be. Instead, you realize, okay, I did this thing and it was bad. I don't want to do that anymore, so I stopped doing it. That's the message. That's the thing. It's like we've all done things. Like that's the moment I had when I made the connection that, oh, wait, in order for me to eat this meat, this animal had to die, and I don't want the animals to die, so I quit eating meat. Then later I learned about the dairy industry because somebody else pointed that out to me. And then I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm not eating cheese pizzas anymore, which used to be my favorite thing. I used to really like cheese, but I just quit it instantly because I didn't want cows to be raped and murdered. It's that simple. So that's the message. The message that I've been trying to promote all along that a lot of people miss either because they don't understand, they fail to understand, or because I failed to communicate. Because I am not the best communicator. I'm really not the best public spokesperson to be telling you anything. So when someone asks me, well, Chastity, Why should I listen to you? Why should I believe what you say over what somebody else says? First of all, listen to the message, not the person who says the message. Do not fall for the fallacy of appeal to authority. It doesn't matter whether you're a politician or a doctor, or whether you're just some guy named Steve, or who lives somewhere. I don't know. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what college degrees you have. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, male or female, old or young. None of that matters. Listen to the message. If you listen to the message of what's being said, and you understand what that message means, and that impacts your life, that is what matters. Let's take the golden rule, for example. I have said many, many times that the golden rule is the basis of my ethics. It's the basis of my nonviolent views. It's why I remove spiders from my apartment without killing them. It's why I'm celibate, and because I don't want there to be abortion, but I don't want there to be procreation either. It's why I avoid products that I know cause the death of animals. So it's all the golden rule. Now, for anyone who calls themselves a Christian, you may not have read the Bible. There's a lot of Christians who don't read the Bible, yet they claim to believe it. But Jesus taught the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And you can read it in any version of the Bible. It still says pretty much the same thing, but the wording is different. There is a huge Wikipedia article on the golden rule that explains how it existed in various philosophies and religions that even predated Christianity. So you have to understand is, I don't believe in Jesus. I don't necessarily believe that there's Jesus, but I do believe in the golden rule. It's in the Bible. I read it. I took a hold of that message, and that's all I needed. It's about the message. And before I end this video, I'll give you one other example. Now, everyone knows I love My Little Pony. My Little Pony, the cartoon, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, is my favorite TV show, my favorite cartoon of all time. It doesn't matter whether Twilight Sparkle or Pinkie Pie or Rarity or Applejack or Rainbow Dash or Fluttershy exist. It doesn't matter whether these cartoon ponies in the magical land of Equestria actually exist. That never mattered to me. What matters is the message. Every episode has a story. It has a story that happens among these ponies, and they have to learn to resolve their differences, their disagreements, their friendship struggles. Every episode has some moral lesson, and at the end of every episode, Twilight Sparkle writes Princess Celestia and tells her what she learned from that day, and that's the message. Take hold of the message and not who says it. That's what you got to understand. I am just a person. I am just a person who has devoted myself to a celibate, vegan, ethical way of life that I believe is right. And I think it's important to understand that I did this without subscribing to a certain religion. I'm no longer a Christian. I've been atheist for at least 5 or 6 years by this point. And I just want people to understand that no matter what you've done in the past, you don't have to do it anymore. No matter what religion you have or not, you can follow the golden rule and treat others the way that you would want to be treated. And for me, being a celibate vegan and having a lifelong vow of chastity is what it's about. That's what's important to understand, is that I know some people still won't get it, but I just thought it was really good to record this video to explain everything about why I am a vegan and a virgin, and about how I can donate my celibate blood and even get paid for it. So that's about me and my virgin blood. I am free from disease. I will not get sexually transmitted disease. I can't get pregnant because I'm biologically male, and I can't get somebody else pregnant because I'm not having sex with them anyway. So I think that's everything anyone needs to know. I'm going to end this video. And later on, I'm going to do a Celibate Vegan Voices podcast with Monique. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.